How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and here we go with another edition of Box Talk. Today, the first fight in November Madness. Puncher Curtis Stevens, the former chin checker, takes on the most feared man in the division, GGG. What makes it worse, he actually asked for this fight. Ade, what do you think, mate?
Can't wait. Silly month for boxing. This year of boxing, I've not in my 32-year life seen a year like this in boxing. We're getting what we want. The fans are getting the fights, and this starts off the month of madness for November, as Ryan said. GGG. Look, for a guy just to be called his initials in boxing, you know he's a serious fucking guy. And it's not because we can't pronounce his name, Gennady Golovkin. It's just because we prefer GGG. It's almost like the KKK for black people. Avoid him. Black people avoid this guy. Seriously. Sometimes you get what you ask for, and I think he's going to get what he asked for. Yes, he's a chin checker himself. He's lost 3 times. I think GGG is this kind of person that right now is... It kind of similarly reminds me of Pacquiao in 2009, 10, maybe 2008, where you almost knew it was going to happen. If not worse.
Unstoppable force.
It's frightening. But it's not... Whereas Pacquiao was kind of that kind of recklessness where he threw a few punches, and if you're a good boxer, you'd watch his footwork and think, wait a minute, Pacquiao's footwork's a bit off. GGG is a phenomenal boxer. Yeah. You know, we're talking about Olympic silver medalist, I think, talking about world champion, junior world champion, European junior world. His record speaks for itself, and that's a reason.
Let's not count out Curtis Stevens. The former chin checker, if you know chin checkers, he was a super middleweight previously, came down now to 160. He's, again, not an amateur background, not as high as GGG, but, you know, we're talking about the golden gloves, you know, traveling and being around the game for a long, long time. The guy's took 2-3 years off because of his issues with management, training, injuries, but he's come back, lost some weight, and has been putting on devastating performances. And like GGG, he's taking people out quick, fast, brutal knockouts. I mean, as much as GGG is the fan favourite going into this fight, when you punch like Stevens does, I think that makes it a very risky fight.
It does, but it makes it a very... This is what makes GGG even more special for me, and I think this is why he's getting a lot of hype. And along with Adonis Stevenson, he's my fighter of the year. We'll get into that in another video. He's a boxer. Normally, when you get guys that are punchers, like I think Adonis Stevenson is, you kind of, their boxing's a bit suspect. You kind of think, okay, they're just going for the right hand all the time, or they're going for the left all the time. What's their boxing skill? What happens if someone takes them to the later rounds? I've watched GG in a few fights now. He can box. He's not one of the best boxers. He's probably right now, for me, one of the best boxers out there as well. You watch his performance against Macklin, it was brutal. It wasn't power punches. It was slow, methodical, I'm going to destroy you type boxing.
What I like about GG in that fight is that everything weren't forced, it weren't pushed, it looked natural. He was punching smooth and fluid. He weren't putting his whole life into every single punch. That was what I thought was really, really impressive. But then back to Curtis Stevens though, looking at Curtis Stevens and the way he's been fighting, the way what he's been doing, his confidence is sky high. He called out GGG after his last fight. He's been on Facebook and Twitter and all the other forms of social media saying he wants this fight. He even had his friends doing what was it, like a funeral, like a get-off funeral.
By GG.
Yeah, get-off funeral saying, I want this guy because this guy is made for me. When you ask to fight a puncher and a fighter of GG's level and you're demanding it, that says a lot for Curtis Stevenson. He sees something in this fight and he wants to prove his point. And guess what? If you want to fight a puncher's fight, I'm gonna share it. It's done.
Yeah, you know, I agree with that, but again, Curtis Stevens on a little tear as well. He's lost 3 times. He's lost to Andy Durrell. Yeah. He's lost a couple of other fights. I think his revenge one that he lost as well.
Yeah. The thing with Stevenson lost is they were two boxers though. They were like pure boxing. People avoiding his power. GG ain't gonna avoid his power.
No, you know, but GG's not. But this is the thing that makes GG so unique, and I touched on it earlier. He's not one of those people that stay in the pocket and try and bang with you to prove he's more powerful. Macklin said it. It's his jabs, it's his body. He wasn't swinging for the defense against Macklin. He wasn't doing like Adonis Stevenson where he winds up the left or the right. This side seemed to be jabbing, almost like a Kovalev type thing. Just jabbing, taking his time. And I think that comes from the amateur background. And I think we're going to see a lot of Eastern European fighters who seem to turn late, who seem to turn pro very late. I think a lot of them are going to start turning pro very early. They win the Olympics, they win the World Championships, and I think we're going to see a lot of influx of good Eastern European champions, and I think Kovalev and GG are the first of them.
It started already, the European champions coming over, and a lot of them are very highly ranked in various divisions throughout the boxing world. I mean, the amateur Soviet program was really, really good. Everyone knows the Soviet program was tremendous back in the 80s, you know what I mean? And up to what they're doing. There was controversy over certain things, but I mean, their boxing was always known for being really, really high class. So Gigi has that ability, but
you know what it is?
I'm just concerned.
You know what it is for me? It styles make fights, and you've got to look at it. And I think Gigi ticks every single box against Stevenson. Sorry, I think you look at the height. I think Stevens is 5'7". Gigi, people saying 6 foot, 6'1". So he's gonna have the reach advantage. Is gonna be absolutely massive as well. So it's okay. It's okay. The other guy saying, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna knock you out, show him about. It's getting there. It's getting into him. I think Gigi, because he's a good boxer, will keep him out of reach with the jab. And I think he'll just do a matching job in him.
Okay, but in the same theory though, Stevenson's the best boxer or best fighter Gigi's his face.
Don't know.
If you're looking at it in the sense of as a complete fighter, we're looking at Stevenson's amateur background, his pro experience, being the naturally bigger man who was actually at super middleweight, and could punch and box and move. Put that whole package together. Who is Gigi for in that quality?
Yeah, but sometimes you put the whole package together. Sometimes you've got to look at the resume as well. And who, I mean, I think Macklin's a good fighter. I'm not going to put him in as no great fighter. He's lost a couple of times on these shores as well. But you look at Macklin's performance against Martinez. You look at Macklin's performance against Sturm. I remember he fought a good. He didn't fight the Martinez that Murray fought. He fought the Martinez and put a really good performance on. Look at the Sturm he fought. The Sturm. What's Gigi into Macklin was almost embarrassing.
Well, yeah, I understand that point for sure. But Macklin was a legit top 4, top 3 midweight at the time.
Yeah.
But the middleweights of 3-4 years ago when Macklin was making his name up in the middleweights is nothing like the middleweights that are sitting there right now. And that's the difference. Where I think Macklin came up in an easier division for right now. And right now the division's so thick. Would you put in Macklin with Stevenson and make him a favourite?
I wouldn't make him a favourite, but a very interesting fight. It's the kind of fight I'd like to see. For me, I'd like to see Stevenson go to someone like Macklin because I think he's jumping. His last 2 performances have been against good fighters, but again, it's almost like I wouldn't even sort of the B level middleweights. I almost got the C level middleweights. I'd like to see him going with someone earlier than going with GGG. I think it's a really good risk reward fight for Stevenson. He loses nothing by losing this fight.
And by asking for the fight,
he gets massive credit. Because everyone else seems to be running away. Not just the fighters, the promoters, the managers. No one seems to want to fight GGG. So Stevenson gets good credit for taking the fight. It's a good payday for him. It's probably going to be his biggest payday he's had for years. So why not? He wins, then the door's open. He loses, he's still got other fighters he can go and take. We all know he wants to take on Macklin, other fighters.
I won't mention no names, but if you look at the current middleweights out there, including some middleweight champions, you will look at the interviews, and when they mention GGG's name, they've got a kind of question mark and a reason why the fight shouldn't happen now. So that shows the fear he's kind of put into the division and the credit Stevenson really does deserve for this fight.
Let's have it right. He's not just put fear in the 160 division. He's bloody put fear in the 168 division as well. Yeah. We've got 168 promoters saying, unless the payday is right. They're talking about GGG possibly even going up to light heavyweight. Literally, he is jumping. And sometimes people get overhyped. I know it's early. We haven't seen him fight anyone really yet. I think the hype's for real.
You know, if you look at that guy that said he will fight in 3 divisions and even possibly got to 175 if necessary.
Possibly come down to 154 to fight Mayweather.
That's 4 divisions.
4 divisions.
The only two that's ever called him out is Stevenson and Bernard Hopkins. Everyone else in those 4 divisions, if those 4 divisions have said some sort of question why the fight shouldn't happen, if you've got people running like that, they see something.
Okay, Ryan, so Stevenson's the banger, Golovkin's the banger, and boxer. Who wins?
Even though I'm talking about Stevenson, because I'm impressed with Stevenson, what I've seen in his comeback, and I've followed Stevenson previously when he was in his chin checker days with Jaden Currington. I think it's a good fight. But as much as I'm watching him, I'm going for GGG. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know if it'll be a stoppage or a points decision, but this would not be no walk in the park. The way Stevenson's been calling him out, Stevenson sees something, he knows something, and unless he gets put out cold, he's going to be in the fight for the rest of the fight.
Okay, for me, GGG is avoided like the plague. In fact, fuck that, he's avoided like the biblical plague. This guy is a serious fighter, people. We're not just talking about a guy that can punch, we're talking about a guy that can box. And that's the scariest thing about him. A lot of the guys recently in America are guys that can either do one or the other. You can either box or punch. When you put that combination together, you put all his attributes in, they've got a long reach, he's at 6'1", he's got good foot movement. I can't see anything but a GGG stoppage here. I'm going for middle to late rounds, I'll say stoppage 8th round. But guys, tell us what you think. This is a big fight. This is what kicks it all off. This is the big November we've been talking about. We've got so much coming in November. This is a fight that kicks it all off coming next week Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the 9th?
Second
of November. So
Second
it kicks it
November.
all off, guys. But leave the comments below who wins this fight. And whoever does win, where do they go? The middleweight division is now wide open. Where do they go? Do they go Martinez? Do they go Peter Quillen? Guys, email us your thoughts as well at
BoxTalk@hotmail.co.uk.
And guys, thanks for tuning in for another edition of Box Talk.